So this is 2023 final exam P2 Physics. Question number 1. Two stopwatch readings are shown and you're asked to calculate the time interval. So look at the attempt. So the student divide and subtract the seconds from the first one and then converts it into seconds, the answer in the seconds, because it is asking the answer in seconds. The answer in second is given, full marks granted. Secondly, the speed calculation. So 4 kilometers is the distance. 20 times takes 26 minutes and 40 seconds to complete 20 laps. Calculate the average speed. So the distance is 4,000 meters and 20 times, and then so we have the time as given as 26 minutes multiplied with 60, add 40 seconds, give you total seconds. Because it is asking meter per second, so you have to calculate it like this. You have to convert the kilometers into meters, minutes into seconds, and then calculate. And this is the answer. Full marks granted. Second question, distance time graph. Again, car traveling and asking first that where is the non-uniform deceleration? So the deceleration will be non-uniform at this point because of the curve. If it wasn't, it would have been a straight line. So at this point, it starts to decelerate less. Then it is asking about the deceleration at t is equal to 3 seconds. So this is 3 seconds. At 3 seconds, what do you do? So as you can see that there is a straight line. So you can take the gradient here and the acceleration will be same from here to here. You take the gradient. If I start from 2 seconds and go all the way to 4 seconds, that will give me 2 seconds interval. The distance covered is from 30 to 25. Sorry, the speed has decreased from 30 to 25. So this will be the calculation done. The student has done it wrong. So it will be 5. Change in speed is 5 in 2 seconds. 5 divided by 2. That will be the answer. And then explain why speed is constant at t is equal to 1 second. Well, you know why the speed is constant. It is because the forward force and the backward force, which is forward force is the driving force, backward force is the resistance. They're all equal. Resultant is 0. Okay, so these 3 points, forward force as the driving force and backward force as the air resistance, they're equal. That gives you 2 points. No resultant force or resultant force is 0. That is the second point. And then there is no change in the speed. Okay, question number 3. How the average speed can be measured. And it is a 3-mark question. So you will read through all this because everything worth taking full marks. Make sure you mention this formula. Make sure you mention your apparatus and the distance and the time. And then what is meant by negative acceleration when the change in velocity is negative? What does that mean? That means that the velocity, the previous velocity is more and the next velocity, the final velocity is less. That is the change in velocity is negative. Next question asking for the change in the speed in a time of 2.5 seconds. So, and the acceleration is given, time is given, you multiply this will give you the change in the speed. Full marks granted again. Okay, question number 4. A water skier. The mass is given, field acceleration, the weight. Weight is, well, very simple. Here, mg, and here, the student is a little bit confused, but two other differences between mass and weight. Weight is vector, mass is scalar. Yes, that is one difference. And then mass is the amount of matter, weight is the force. That is the second difference, 2 points. Boat pulls it with the force 50 newtons. Water skier travels constant speed. Horizontal forces, speed is constant. There will be no resultant force. Student loses 1 mark because of the force applied by boat on water skier. Backward force is equal to the forward force. So yes, he has, hence there is no resultant force. So what is mistake here? The mistake is that in terms of the horizontal forces, why the speed is constant, the force applied by boat on water sphere is wrong. The force applied by a boat on the water is equal to the force applied by the water, the air resistance is equal to the air resistance or whatever the resistance is there, and that's why the speed is constant. So this is why they lose 1 mark. Horizontal forces 50 to 70 newtons change. Size of forces are unchanged. Calculate the acceleration. So F is equal to ma. The resultant force 70 minus 50 gives you 20. Mass is 60. You calculate it like this. Question number 5. Spring 10 centimeters unstretched length, 30 centimeters stretched length, and the graph, extension load, mass extension graph. The question is, what is P? So, well, we know very well, after P, the graph takes curve. So, up to P, there is limit of proportionality. So, that's the answer. Second part, calculate the mass. So, you can do it this way. Original length, stretched length, extension, and extension on the x-axis. Extension here gives you this. So if you read the graph, extension of 20 means the mass hanged is 250. Okay. So calculate the weight, just multiply the mass with the weight, but make sure you use the mass in kilograms, not grams from the answer. So many students did this wrong. Then the load is divided in two springs, each gets equal part, equal. So how the extension compares with the extension? Well, I just said that the extension will be half. So it is written too much. You can just simply write the extension will become half, i.e. if the original extension was 20, like here, then the extension will become 10. Full mark. Right, this one, instrument that would be suitable will be a meter rule. And then you have to calculate the mass using density formula, and the density is given, the volume is given. So put the values, get the answer, and make sure you don't mess up with the units. Window is open, temperature increase, pressure has stayed the same. What happens to the mass of the air? So, what has happened to the mass of the air in the room? This has been given a lot of consideration. Well, some of the molecules of the gas escaped through window. Yes. The volume of air in the room decreases. Okay. Decrease in volume led to increase in mass of air. That is not possible. Actually, look at this, my explanation. As volume and temperatures are directly proportional if pressure is constant, if the temperature increases, volume increases. So less spacing between molecules, and as there is window, the molecule close to it will be forced to leave to keep the pressure same. Okay. Momentum question. The car approached a solid barrier at 20 meters per second and stops. Momentum before the crash, mass times velocity, momentum, and the determine it is saying use, it should be impulse. So impulse is change in momentum, and it is 1400 to 0. So if you input this change in momentum and take the time, which is given here. No, no time is given. So time is, well, you don't know this time, obviously, but that's why the question wasn't given full marks. You don't know the time, but you know that change in momentum is the impulse, and that means the impulse will be 1400 Newton seconds. Comes to rest in 0.2 seconds, the deceleration. So you know the acceleration is changing velocity per unit time. Final is 0, initial was 20, comes in 0.2 seconds. Simple calculation gives you. So make sure you don't use the negative sign in the answer because the deceleration means negative acceleration. Full mark. The seat belt brings the dummy to rest so it doesn't hit the windscreen. The dummy has an average deceleration 80 meters per second. Calculate the average resultant force. So this is how you calculate it. Very simple. Newton's second law is equal to ma. And then the deceleration of the dummy is less than the deceleration of the passenger. Explain why this is of benefit. Well, this will prevent the dummy to hit the windscreen, or, well, dummy will come. Well, I have given feedback. The student seems very confused here. So look, impulse is force times. If time is more, force is less. This is the fact. The application of the fact, less acceleration means more time because F and F is equal to A. More time to stop. So the explanation will be the less force on passenger saves from the internal injuries. Okay, this is where you get full 2 marks. A meter rule balances. This is the next question, question number 8. Meter rule balance is 60 centimeters. In the diagram, it's shown, everything is shown. You're asked to calculate the weight using this diagram. So you calculate the moment clockwise and anti-clockwise moments. This will give you the force on left side, and that force will be the weight of the apple, 0.72 Newton. The mass of the apple, just divided with 10. Apple is not moved. Weight is removed. Why the arrangement balances? Because you have moved this, that means now you have the weight of the rule acting as the force producing clockwise moment. This will balance this. Okay. So the explanation by student was wrong. Look at the tool's weight is acting clockwise moment. This is okay. The pivot is closer to 50 centimeter. Compare the weight of the row to the weight of the apple? Well, the weight is inversely proportional to the distance from the pivot, hence the weight of the apple would be less, so it has more distance from the pivot, yes. So the rule will have more weight, so it has less distance from its center of mass. That's why. Again, moment question. So here we have a bed, and we have the weight, and we have all these measurements. Calculate the weight. Very nice, very easy calculation. And principle of moments loses 1 mark because for an object to be in equilibrium, that is 1 mark, and clockwise moment equal anti-clockwise moment, 2nd mark. Use this to calculate the force. Which force? This force here. Okay? And this is the weight. So weight times 0.35 gives you force times 0.35 plus 0.3, 0.65. So these are used here. 0.35 and then 0.3 plus 0.3 as divide this, get 140 ounces. A skier taking a downhill race. What is the gravitational energy? Well, mgh gives you the answer. Make sure you don't confuse with the calculation. And make sure you look for this meter. If this was centimeters, it would have been a different answer. And then calculate the work then. Force times distance. Distance is 28. Force is 220. So the work done is this much. It can also be Newton meter. It can also be joules. The kinetic energy is decrease in the kinetic energy. Student loses all the marks. Actually, the decrease in the gravitational energy is the increase in the kinetic energy. And then the resistive forces must be subtracted. Okay, so if you do the calculation, you should get the answer. How do you calculate it? So just right here, then his body to reduce air resistance. Very simple, very nice. Okay, this question again popping up, very important question. So we have done this question in previous paper as well. Heat is transferred through conduction. You write all the process of the conduction, the vibrating molecules hitting each other. Heat is passing to neighboring, and then liquid convection. The molecules at the bottom becomes less dense, go up. Denser comes down. Convection current follows. This is how the coffee heats. Shape is different. So because of the air is a bad conductor. So these 2 points are very important to get full marks for this. Shiny and white are the best to keep the coffee warm. Shiny surface does not emit, absorb heat, and are bad conductors of heat. This, yes, it is correct, but it's not going to be applied here. This will keep the heat inside and will reflect or fall inside. So the actual answer should have included that because of the white and shiny surface, the heat will be remained inside, and there will be so 1 point has been written as the white does not emit. White and shiny does not emit, but the shiny surface actually reflects the IR back to the coffee. It doesn't allow the IR to pass through the mug and go outside. No other thing can stop IR. Nothing actually can stop IR radiation. But shiny surface reflects it back, so it minimizes the heat loss. That was the point that was lost. You must mention IR. Difference between conduction and convection. Well, conduction requires vibration, fixed position. Convection takes place, movement due to movement. So that's the main difference. Conduction takes place in solid, convection takes place in liquids and gases. Second point. Thank you.